Are you really in control of your life? Or is every single choice you make, every turn you take, already written down somewhere? I mean, this is one of the biggest questions we've ever asked ourselves. And today we're going to tackle it, but through the really fascinating and, you'll see, very nuanced lens of Indian philosophy.
And look, this isn't just some stuffy, abstract debate for philosophers in an ivory tower. No way. This question, free will versus destiny, it touches everything. It shapes how we think about right and wrong, why we even bother trying, and, our whole idea of who we are. It's a question that just keeps popping up in every culture, in every single generation.
So, let's get right to it. Are you the author of your own story, or are you just an actor reading lines from a script someone else wrote? In the West, philosophy often kind of gets stuck here, framing this as a hard choice between two totally opposite ideas. But what if that's not the only way to look at it? What if there's another path entirely?
And this is where things get really interesting. Instead of this either-or battle, Indian thought comes at it from a completely different angle. It presents more of a both-and framework. The idea is that maybe, just maybe, free will and destiny aren't actually enemies fighting it out. Maybe they're just two sides of the same, much bigger, much more complex coin.
Now, to really wrap our heads around this both-and idea, we have to talk about a core concept, karma. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A lot of people in the West think of karma as some kind of cosmic payback system or just blind fate. But its real philosophical meaning is way deeper. A much better way to think about it is like the universe's basic operating system. Right. So the most important thing to get here is that karma isn't some angry force out there trying to punish you. Not at all. It's a completely impartial law, kind of like gravity. It just says that your actions, and this is key, driven by your intentions, will always set consequences in motion. You're held accountable, not because some cosmic judge is watching, but because actions just naturally have effects. Simple as that.
And the process itself is actually pretty logical when you break it down. So first, you do something. And the why behind it, your intention, is a huge part of the equation. That action then becomes like a ripple in this huge cosmic pond. The ancient texts called this Rita, the cosmic order. And then eventually, that ripple you created finds its way back to you as a consequence. It's a predictable system, you see, not just random chance.
Okay, so if our actions create our future, that sounds a lot like free will, right? So where does destiny fit into all of this? Well, here it is. This is the big aha moment of this whole explainer. The solution isn't in choosing one or the other, it's an understanding that reality, it isn't one-dimensional. This right here is the insight that changes the whole game. I think the mistake we all tend to make is trying to apply one single rule to everything, when in fact we're playing on multiple fields at the exact same time. Let's break this down, because it's a big idea. In your everyday life, let's call it the phenomenal truth. Your choice to be kind or to be selfish is 100% real, and you are responsible for it. This is the level where karma does its thing. But if you zoom all the way out to a cosmic perspective, the ultimate truth, the separate you that you think is making these choices, is actually part of a much larger interconnected whole. Think of it like a wave in the ocean. The wave is a real thing, you can see it, but it's never ever separate from the ocean itself. From this bigger view, your true self is more of a witness to the action. And here's the kicker. Both of these truths are valid. They just operate on different levels.
Okay, so that's some pretty deep philosophy. But how in the world does this translate into, actual wisdom we can use day to day? For that, we're going to turn to one of the most beloved spiritual texts on the planet, the Bhagavad Gita. It gives us a really powerful formula of how to live inside this paradox.
This one verse, wow, it is absolutely revolutionary. It draws this razor-sharp line between what's your job and what's not. It's basically saying your domain is the action, the effort, the choice you make in this very moment. But the outcome, the result, the fruit of that action, that belongs to the universe, to that huge interconnected web of karma. It is simply not yours to control.
And this, right here, is where your real freedom is found. You are totally free to give your absolute 100% to whatever it is you're doing, your svadharma, which you can think of as your own personal duty or purpose. But the real liberation, the real freedom, comes from letting go of your attachment to the result, from not tying your happiness or your self-worth to how it all turns out. Act with everything you've got, but release that anxiety of trying to control the outcome.
So this all leads us to a really powerful place. It turns out that true freedom isn't about smashing the rules of destiny or having infinite choices. Nope. It's about something way deeper, something much more transformative. It's about consciously and willingly participating in the great flow of life.
And you know what's really amazing? If you look at the major Indian traditions, Vedanta, Buddhism, Jainism, sure, they might disagree on some of the finer metaphysical points, but what's really telling us where they all agree? They all say, yes, your moral choices absolutely matter. They all say, yes, spiritual effort is essential. And they all say the path to true freedom is through awareness and right action. They all arrive at the same practical conclusions.
This really flips our whole idea of freedom on its head. We often think of freedom as, rebellion, fighting against our circumstances. But this ancient wisdom suggests that real power is found in working with your reality. It's the difference between trying to fight a powerful river's current versus learning how to steer your boat masterfully within it.
So how do we actually do this? How do we put it into practice? Well, it boils down to a pretty simple 3-step guide. First, you have to accept your current situation, your prarabdha karma. That's just the karma that's ripening right now. Think of it as the hand of cards you've been dealt. It's your starting point, but it's not your final destination. Second, you have to recognize that your total and complete freedom is in how you choose to play that hand. And finally, you act with your whole heart, with full purpose, and then you let go. You release your grip on the outcome, and you let the universe handle the rest.
And that brings us right here, to this very moment. The circumstances that are leading you to your very next decision, well, they've been set up by an unbelievable chain of cause and effect stretching back in time. That's the fated part. But your response, the intention and the awareness you bring to that choice, that is 100% yours. That's the free part. This entire philosophy we've been talking about, it all comes down to this one single present moment. So, how will you choose?